We grasp for any light at all when we're in the dark, don't we? Any pinprick of light will get us to look at it. If you're out in the yard and it's really dark and a firefly goes off, you look right at it, don't you? When it's really, really dark, any light will get your attention. If nothing else, it gives you a way to stop feeling dizzy and confused. You look at the light. But as my wife is fond of quoting, sometimes the light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train. Just because it's a point of light doesn't make it right. But when you're lost, when you're in the dark, when you don't know where you're going, you can't not go toward it. It takes real resistance not to go toward a light because that's the only thing you can see. That's why I like the parable of the unjust judge. You heard that earlier. The pinhole light is like those relentless people you know in your life that just won't let go of something. You know them. They're always fascinated with something or another. The widow who bothers the judge, who is not in any sense being decent at all, just can't ignore her because like a pinprick of light keeps coming at him. There's an historic example of this kind of relentlessness. Cato the Elder, a great Roman statesman, truly believed that the city of Carthage was a danger to the city of Rome and came to believe it had to be destroyed. And every time he got up to make a speech, he either began it or ended it with a phrase similar to this: Carthago delenda est. Carthage must be destroyed. If he was talking about taxes, there must be lower taxes and Carthage must be destroyed. If he was talking about bread, we must bake more bread and Carthage must be destroyed. Every day, Carthage must be destroyed, like the widow who came to the judge, relentless, a pinpoint, a laser of light until Rome went and destroyed Carthage. It's possible this way to get what you want. We all know it. We just give in eventually because the relentlessness is making us crazy. But I want to talk about the other side of that, which is how easy it is to give in to the relentless pinprick of light. Because when you feel lost or unmoored from what you've depended on, it's easy to look for that light and to go toward it and believe that because it's relentless, because it's consistent, because it's focused, it's right. I think a lot of people are frightened and frustrated these days. The world changes at a dizzying pace. It comes in through us not only the TV and the radio, but on our telephones, iPods, newspapers. We can't resist the influx of information and data. It makes us all very confused. It makes us dizzy. We feel lost, and we will look, find, and be inevitably drawn toward the pinhole light that stops the turbulence, that keeps us from getting dizzy. There are people who have this as a disease. Some forms of mental illness are so confusing that they will do anything to end that confusion, which is why so many mentally ill also use alcohol or drugs. It literally controls the confusion. It doesn't make them worse, it actually makes them better. People use tobacco, the relentlessness of a habit, to keep themselves calm. And of course, we know what alcohol can do. Drugs, all these things to control the inner turbulence. Perhaps that's part of those folks who deal with obsessive-compulsive disorder, that they find that some repetitive action helps to bring some calm and focus into a turbulent mind. But I want to tell you this is a social phenomenon too. What do people do when they go to church, but with that constant, relentless, repetitive quality, get a sense of calm and steadiness? It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, it's consistent. And the consistency is so appealing in a time of turbulence that we love hearing it. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the power of that Christian phrase, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because nothing else is the same from day to day, so at least something is the same. I can get that. Why do we do superstitious things? Why do batters wear the same socks whenever they come into the plate? Why are we thrilled at magic, even though we know it's false? These all somehow give us a weird sense of being in control of a world that is spiraling out of control inwardly and outwardly. And I'm here to give you a warning that these simple answers, as appealing as they are mostly wrong. The pinpricks of light are truly trains coming down the tunnel. Call it the Bible, call it your political leader. The answer to all things is lower taxes or less government, that Congress is evil, that the president is a Muslim, that Muslims are evil. All these are little pinpricks of light that we use to answer the dilemmas of our anxiety. But if we're honest, what we need to do is close our eyes to all this stuff and admit that we are in the dark, inwardly and outwardly, that we don't know where we're going or what we're doing, and we don't know how to find our way out of it. If we are honest, if we were truly spiritually honest, we would be more like Jacob, who wrestles in the middle of the night. Do you know that story? It's the one that comes up in the regular readings of the Torah this week in Jewish congregations. And Jacob, it says, wrestled with a man until daybreak. It was in the middle of the night. He could not see his face, and Jacob wrestled with him and said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And the angel, the person, the man, wouldn't let go all the way through the night. This is a desert night, remember, and there's not much light. He can't make out who this is, and says, what is your name? And the man keeps wrestling. And then as the day was coming, and a glimpse of the sun was beginning to appear on the horizon, the angel, the man, God, who knows with whom Jacob was wrestling, suddenly grabbed his leg and dislocated his hip, and then got up and left. And on the way away from Jacob, he said, you shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and have prevailed. I want you to have that story as your spiritual answer to being in the wilderness. To strive inwardly, outwardly, with the things that frighten you. Because like Jacob, you won't win. You will probably even be disabled, but you will survive. One of my favorite proverbs that I heard years ago is that when you go to the gates of heaven, if that's a metaphor you like to use, they do not look you over for medals, but for scars. It is the scars you earn in life, the dislocated hips, the broken hearts, the broken promises, the miseries you have endured and survived that give you your humanity. You remember when King Henry says in Shakespeare's version about how they're going into the Battle of Agincourt, and he stirs them up at some point saying, men will strip his sleeve and show his scars that he got upon St. Crispin's day. We all know veterans who do that, who are proud of their war wounds because I fought and survived. But even so, children learn by getting hurt. You know what happens. You put your finger on the stove and you know not to do that again. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. We learn to deal with bullies after we've been bullied. Our struggles we encounter all the way through life. Because it's dark, because we bump into the things, to the trees, we fall into the creeks of life, we trip over the vines. And that's the thing that really teaches us more than success. You know, success never taught anybody anything. We think, oh, I succeeded. I must be a very fine fellow indeed. But when you fail, you say, what happened? Your scars are the mark of your learning.